Adam here from the Walzer Automotive Group. What I want to do today is take you on a test drive. And next to me here is the all-new 2024 Mazda 3 Hatchback. Now there's a sedan and a hatchback and a ton of different trim levels. So we'll look at a few options that can come with these, how they drive out on the open road, the interior, the exterior, and see if this might just be the perfect vehicle for you. So before we hop in to go for a test drive, let's look at this particular one that we have here today. Now this is, like I said, is the 2024 Mazda 3, and this is the hatchback. Now this trim is the 2.5 Turbo Premium Plus. All the turbo models are going to come in all-wheel drive. As you can tell today, it snowed here, so it's going to be a little bit slippery on the road. It was a little icy driving around today, so we want to show you what it's really like to live with the Mazda 3. Now this one again has the turbocharged engine. So there's going to be two engine options, a 4-cylinder and then a 4-cylinder turbo. Now this one bumps horsepower up quite significantly. And like I said, all the turbos do come in the all-wheel drive. So that does make quite a difference. So let's dive in. We'll jump inside and go for a spin around and see what we think about this Mazda 3 hatchback. Okay, so now we're behind the wheel of the Mazda 3 hatchback, and the one thing we always have with us, our phones, right? So this particular one is gonna have wireless charging, so I drop my phone down there, lights up green, and it's gonna be charged when I'm on the go. Now, one of the coolest things paired with that is gonna be the wireless Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto, which is found in this trim level. There's wired CarPlay or Android Auto. It kind of depends on which trim level you're looking at, but again, this one's gonna be the top of the line, so we're gonna have all the goodies so we can show you what would be available. Now, inside, the seats are extremely comfortable. So it's cold today. Like I said, it had snowed this morning, so I've got my heated seats for the driver and the passenger, and one of my favorite things I'll kick on is the heated steering wheel. Now this is a leather wrapped steering wheel. It's got this cool stitching that runs around, and when the heat's on and it's cold like today, that is an absolute game changer. So let's go for a little spin around and see what we think about the turbocharged version of the Mazda 3. So my first impressions, obviously I've been driving it around a little bit this morning and it was slippery. It was icy on the road, there was slush all over the place. I mean, it's the back roads that are always the worst, right? Or if you get stuck in your alley before, you know how much of a pain that can be. But with this iActive all-wheel drive system, it's pretty awesome. So it's got these great Bridgestone tires on here. This one's got a little bit larger wheel when looking at some of the other trim levels, but the blacked out appearance package with that machine gray exterior looks really cool. And so now you can kind of hear we're on the ice and snow, and I mean, this thing just kind of bites in and goes. And one thing that's cool about the iActive all-wheel drive system is that it's not a permanent or symmetrical system. So when you want to get the best possible fuel economy, it will help you by kind of deactivating some of that all-wheel drive system. And then when you need it or it senses that slipping, you barely even feel it. It's going to kick back in and make sure you have that sure-footedness. So like I said, there's the regular 4-cylinder, which is a front-wheel drive, or the turbocharged model, which then goes to the all-wheel drive, and that's paired to the 6-speed manual, depending on the trim level, which is going to be the lower trims, or you're going to have the 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, there's also a sport mode in here, so you can kick that into sport mode, and it definitely wakes it up. It's a little bit quicker shift points. It just feels a little more alive when you do that, but that's only if you want to have a little bit of fun. Day-to-day life in this car is awesome. It's quiet, it's comfortable. It almost feels like it kicks outside of its class when you're looking at what actually comes into this car. I mean, it kind of seems like a luxury vehicle when comparing it to things that are in a similar class with it. So one of the other things that's really cool is Mazda has always had the mentality of making driving fun. And to me, that is clearly evident when you're behind the wheel of the Mazda 3, when comparing it to other vehicles in the class, like maybe the Hyundai Elantra or the Honda Civic, you know, some staples that are in this class. It's got some pretty heavy competition, but there's a reason you see so many Mazda 3s out on the road. It's because they're fun, they're reliable, the handling is awesome in this vehicle. That's definitely one of the characteristics that I found myself really liking when I've been out on the open road. That all-wheel drive system with the turbocharge, I mean, it's so much fun. And it's not super noisy in here either. Some of these smaller kind of sedans, you expect it to be a lot of road noise and a lot of engine noise, but I mean, this turbo's not working very hard to get you going to highway speeds, and that, I mean, makes a big difference. When you're in the car a lot and you're spending a lot of time behind the wheel, you don't want something that's noisy and revving up all the time, and this little turbocharged motor is pretty great. So fuel economy wise, it's rated at about 31 on the highway. If you go down to the front wheel drive or the smaller turbo, you're gonna be looking closer to 40, kind of around that 37 range. So again, you do sacrifice a little bit, but then you remember on days like today when it's snowing and slushy and I have this all-wheel drive and I can just put my foot down and I'm off and running, that really has a lot of weight when I'd be looking between the front wheel drive or the all-wheel drive model. So a few other things in here. Again, the Premium Plus package is gonna have all the goodies. So it goes from a smaller 8.8 inch display to the 10.25 inch display. Now that is great. With the Apple CarPlay, like I mentioned earlier, everything is really easy. There's a little controller down here, so you can kind of spin the wheel to scroll through, or it can also be used as a touch screen. So you can't do it when you're driving, but when you're parked, you can lean up and swipe through, and that makes it very easy. Plus, there also is going to be voice control in this one. So you can use Siri, and you just click that on the steering wheel, and you're good to go there. The backup camera in this model is awesome. Mazda's always had really good backup cameras. It's crystal clear in here. And what's cool is this has the 360 camera. So you can click a little button on the side over here and that will pull up the camera and that will show you the side views. So if it's getting a little tight in a parking spot or maybe your garage is a little smaller, that makes it very simple and then it just kind of vanishes away. Or obviously when you kick it back into reverse, that's gonna pull up the 360 camera as well. Now this model also adds the Bose sound system. I didn't get a chance to hear the other one, but I can say the Bose is definitely a great upgrade. If you're listening to a lot of music or podcasts, I think the Bose is one of those great features that you're definitely gonna like. So a few other things we gotta talk about safety, right? So this one is going to have a ton of safety. Mazda does a great job of lots of standard safety features, but things like blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, this has the stop and go adaptive cruise control system. So again, if you're doing a lot of highway driving, that's a pretty sweet feature. And this one has the heads up display. So it's showing me my miles per hour, the speed limit on the road. If you set the cruise control, that is really cool. So overall, what do we think about the Mazda 3 hatchback? Now, obviously, this is the top of the trim, so you're getting all the goodies in here. But even if you start at the 2.5S or maybe the Premium Plus, there's a lot of good equipment that maybe if you don't need a fully loaded one, that would be the one to look for. I love the seats. Going for the heated leather seat option or the leatherette is a really awesome way to kind of build one out. And I like the all-wheel drive with the turbocharged engine. Yes, you do sacrifice a little bit when it comes to fuel economy, but what you're gaining in, just the enjoyment of driving, the luxury that's in here. Like I said, this feels like it's out kicking the coverage when comparing it to other sedans in its class. So we can talk for a quick second about rear legroom. Now, the difference between the sedan and the hatchback isn't a ton. You are gonna get a little bit more space, obviously, with the hatch. There's a nice cargo cover back there. And this being a little bit smaller of a sedan, it is a little bit tight in the back seat. I'm about 6'1", so where I would be driving comfortably, it does get a little tight back there. But if you're just doing short trips or if you've got the kids in the back seat, it's gonna be pretty easy to handle. And again, with the hatchback, you get a lot of storage capacity, so that's a nice feature to have as well. So if you're in the market for maybe a sedan or even a smaller crossover SUV, I think you gotta get out and take one of these for a spin and see what you think. So that was just a quick look at the all-new Mazda 3 and a little bit of a spin around. Now, if you want to take a test drive for yourself or you want more information, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by either one of our Mazda locations. We'd be happy to help you out. Thanks again for watching.